Hello everyone, my name is Frederick and I'm the co-founder of Codict. We do web development in Canada, mainly using the Symfony2 framework, and we wanted to build an advanced blog system for one of our good clients, Sport Academia. Given the fact that Lucas Smith talked to me about Symfony2 CMF at Confu this year, we decided to try it out for this blog project, and as it turns out, it was a great decision, which resulted in a well-structured system with advanced features and a great user experience. 2 weeks ago, we had no knowledge or experience with the CMF, but now the blog system is nearly finished. So let me show you a demo on what we were able to build in less than 2 weeks using the Symfony CMF with no starting knowledge. I recommend you put the video in full screen if you want to see everything clearly. So here's the homepage for the Sport Academia blog. It shows dummy data for the moment. The first thing we wanted to have in this blog system was an intuitive AJAX page transition system that would sync the URL as well as the blue breadcrumbs as we navigate the blog. Let me show you how it works. As I click Education, the URL as well as the breadcrumbs will update. Now the Symfony2 CMF made the implementation of this very simple because of its file system-like structure. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I can browse my backend using WebDAV. So if I go into CMF /routes, you will notice that I have /en, like in the route, and inside of it /education. So you see that the URL maps directly to the route, which is stored in a file system-like manner. And you'll also notice that the route, the menu, and the content are separate in their own file system structure. So this gives us very much flexibility and removes the concept of IDs and slugs that we usually implement in our URLs. So now we are on the education category of the blog, but it doesn't have any subcategories yet. So we must switch to admin mode to be able to edit our blog. Instead of making an administration area and confusing our clients, we decided to build our admin area directly integrated into the front end, making the experience much more fun and intuitive for our client. Even though the CMF uses Create.js to follow this methodology of administering the content on the page, our needs were a bit different, so we implemented our own front end. To activate the admin mode, we built a reusable Chrome extension for our clients that lets him toggle the admin mode by clicking on this icon on the top right. So let's become admins. I click on it and I log in. And there we go. Now let's add a category. I'll click here, call it University, give it a description, the place where smart adults go to learn. It would look better with an image, so I got this on my desktop. I'll just drag it over and I'll crop it on the client side. Now, the way this works is we implemented the HTML5 file reader API as well as done some canvas work. Now I'll click over here to make it visible to our visitors, and I'll create another one too. High school for teenagers and kids. There we go. Make it visible, and let's give it also a nice picture. Now, as you notice, we didn't have any save button, so we have an algorithm going in the background that's checking out our changes and sending and syncing the content with the server as we do this. And we could also sort stuff around. Now, remember we talked about the file system-like structure. Let's go see what happened. In EN, education, we now have high school and university, 2 new routes. And so you can start to see how cool is it to have our content structured that way, as if it was really writing to a file system. We don't have any articles yet on the website, so let's go inside university and add one. Add an article, I'll call it How to Ace Your Test. I'll make it visible in a similar fashion and I'll go inside. As you can notice, my breadcrumbs and my URL are still synced and up to date, even though we're using Ajax. Let me open this page in another tab, so we may get a client or a visitor view of the article. My first tab is the admin mode. So consider I started editing this article. For example, my first title could be Study Early. Every student must study early. Consider I started typing the other title. Do not study, and then I closed my tab or my computer crashed. It wouldn't be a big problem because we have an auto-saving system that keeps updating the backend, so that even though the client view is still not updated, when I go into admin mode, it will fetch and I'll continue where I left off. So do not study late. Do not study late. Now, if I save the article, it would be published to the website. So let's go and see. That's how it looks like. Consider I wanted to add an image to the article. All I have to do is drag it over, put it where I want, and accept. I will publish it, and there you go. It's on the website. So if I go back in admin mode, there's one great feature that the CMF helps us implement. It's the browse versions feature. The CMF has built-in versioning and versioning API for simple and full versioning, integrated and implemented right for you. So we made an interface so that when we click on browse versions, you can see all the versions of your article. Every time you publish it, you get a new version. So let's say I wanted to go back to this version. I'd click restore, and there we go. We're back. And let me add another article. Go back in admin mode. I can make it visible too. Let's go see what happened on the back end. So we're in education, we go in university, and voila, 2 new routes that match our article names. You can start to see how cooler it is to see your content in that way, instead of going through tables and other types of interfaces. Now you may have noticed the French flag in several places, such as here, maybe even here. So the reason for this is that this website is bilingual. The CMF implemented some translation strategies, but they did not entirely fit our needs, so we created our own strategy. And because of its file system-like structure, it was easier for us to implement this strategy than to implement it in a traditional manner. So how we did that? If we go into the French version of the education category, you'd notice that it's a completely independent space of the website. So categories in English and articles in English have no relationship with the content and articles in French. So let's create a université category. Now, any category we create here, there's no obligation to have an equivalent in English, but consider that we have an equivalent. You now see that we can link categories together. So this is the English equivalent, university. And of course, if we go back to Anglais, the link would have been established anyway. So what does this help? Let me show you. If we go into our French category and we create an equivalent article, comment passer ces examens, and we go inside and started to write in it, il faut étudier pour bien passer ces examens, and we saved it. We can also go back, and since this article has an equivalent in English, we can link to it. So this article links to how to ace your test. Let's go to the article. and I'll look at it in client mode this time. So consider me a visitor. So we're here, go inside the article, and because we dynamically established links between our content, if I go up and I change the language to English, it would know where to take me to. And if I go back to French, of course, we go back there. The system I just showed you will be cool for our customers at Correct, but what made it easy and fast to implement was the fact that we used most of the components that the CMF provides. This would have taken us at least an additional month to implement had we built it on the Symfony 2 Standard Edition. The CMF helped us reduce our development time by using integrated features such as article versioning, dynamic quad creations, multilingual menu generation, and many more. We at Correct are committed to using the CMF on most of our future CMS-based projects. You should seriously take a look at the CMF because you'll adore it. If we could build this in 2 weeks with no prior knowledge of the CMF, what could you possibly do? I suggest you come join us on Symfony-CMF on Freenode and register on the developer mailing list. I really hope you enjoyed this demo. We're waiting for you. Let's make the CMF an awesome thing to work with.